It's first pitch. It's Friday. Two of my favorite guests, my co-hosts, Dave Smokin' Cokin and Bryan Leonard, a legend in baseball handicapping. Bryan, last time we spoke, you were in a little bit of a funk. Where are we at now?
Yeah, getting better. If I could just get my pitchers to start 2 days in a row, they changed pitchers on me late and canceled both of my bets. So this starter thing is just getting crazy, and I might just have to start giving out my plays at action. I hate to do it.
Yeah.
But it's getting frustrating.
Yeah, well, ultimately that's where we're headed, Bryan. I mean, it might not be this year, but I mean, we're headed in that direction, and you know, change is a good thing. What, Dave?
On the bookmaker side, they're trying to. You're gonna have to change the rules because to be in compliance, you're supposed to list pitchers, and they're trying to get it changed now so that they can list any pitcher. It's better for the books and better for the bettors if they do that.
He's Dave Cokin. I'm the Prez. Bryan Leonard with us. It's first pitch. We take apart every baseball game on the card that starts after 6 o'clock, and today we start with the Cincinnati Reds Philadelphia game. Before we get into that, you know, both Bryan and Dave do bet the occasional hockey play. Dave releases hockey plays and is outstanding. You know, I just finished Puck Time with Carmine and Andrew, and it could be the last Puck Time of the year. And I noticed a bet up at Bet365, and I felt that I should tell you guys it because pretty much it's a guaranteed winner. Very rarely do you have guaranteed winners in sports. Dave, minus 1,500. Minus 1,500 that there will not be a shootout in the next game.
What?
Yeah. Explain to me how that bet could possibly lose.
There could be a shootout.
How? There's no shootouts in the NHL playoffs.
Yeah.
So they're not going to pay on that bet, right?
They're going to cancel it.
Who posted this?
Bet365.
Must be an error.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't look for it. Yep. So I wouldn't look for it to be up there long. It's probably some kind of a glitch, just some kind of a mistake, and in which case you really shouldn't try and take advantage of it. It's not a real cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll cancel your account doing stuff like that. So I wouldn't touch it.
Yeah, we'll agree to disagree. I think it's a totally cool thing to do. If you screw up, too bad. That's
well,
on you.
I would tell you this. As an ex-bookmaker, if you pulled that on me, I'd shut you off, and I'd tell every bookmaker I knew, and you'd have trouble getting action down.
Why? All I'm trying to do? Okay.
That's the truth, because I've had it. I had it when I used the book. I had it happen because everything was handwritten back then. And there were times where there'd be a mistake. And if a guy clearly took advantage of a mistake, I'd pay him off, but he would never get a bet down again in Rhode Island.
Yeah, the way it works.
You want to take your shot for one bet? Go ahead.
Yeah, the way it works in most places in Vegas, especially if you're doing it on an app, is let's say you have a choice. You can either take the bet or you're not allowed to bet here anymore. It's up to you.
Yeah, that seems like a load of BS to me. Let's get into it, boys. I got
BS. I'm an ex-bookmaker.
Yeah,
okay?
that doesn't mean it's not BS, Dave.
Well, I'm not lying to you.
Mistakes happen.
I believe that's what will happen. It's still BS.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Look, I'll put it in real simple terms. I'm not trying to fuck you as a bookmaker, so don't try and fuck me either. Okay? It's a level playing field. I have a slight edge because of the vigorish. But outside of that, there's honor among gamblers. There always has been honor among gamblers, even if the general public didn't see that way. And those who don't want to adhere to those rules are dishonorable, and I don't want to do any business with them.
Well, Jesus, I just put $1.5 million down on that bet.
Well, then you won't get paid.
Yeah, that's for sure. Philadelphia, let's get right to it, guys. Philadelphia 35-27 playing Cincinnati. 4-0 win by Cincinnati last night. Philadelphia minus 120. The over and under is 9. Dave, I'll go to you first.
I'm not sure about what. I don't know what that 4-0 Cincinnati win. I'm not sure where that came from. Cincinnati lost to St. Louis.
3-1. My bad. That was a previous game between them. My bad. Let's go, brother. What do you like?
Tyler Mahle been pitching really well for Cincinnati, but his last 2 starts, he's gone a little bit backwards. He's got some good numbers, and if you want to look at the analytics on the road, they're quite good. Eflin has kind of a phony ERA at home. I think I actually made Cincinnati a small favorite in this game, but the odds have gone that way as well. So this looks like an analytics bet that's out there among the sharper market, if you want to call it that, and the value has pretty much disappeared. Lean Red's not going to be a play.
Bryan, any thoughts on this game?
No, I agree with Dave. Lean Reds, but the value is gone. Not strong enough for me to bet.
The Blue Jays, really bad baseball team, hosting Arizona. Arizona is 1 game under 500. The home team is minus 135-ish. The over and under is 8.5. Arizona just won their last game, but lost 2 of 3 against the Dodgers. And the Blue Jays won 2 of 3 against the Yankees. It's Stroh versus Kelly. Bryan, what do you like?
Slightly into the under here. The Blue Jays on the season 13-30 against right-hander starters. These are obviously pitchers that they're not going to see very often. It'll be the first time Kelly's faced Toronto, and last time Stroman faced Arizona was in 2016. So you got 2 starters that the other teams haven't seen. Slightly into the under here, and don't know if it'll make my card.
Well, the under makes sense to me in this spot. I mean, and both teams aren't lighting it up. And Stroh's had a decent season so far, 2.84 ERA, and also a good last 3 starts. And even though Kelly is pretty crappy, it's not like the Blue Jays are hitting the ball well, Dave.
I like the Blue Jays here. Stroman's home ERA is spectacular. It's not his analytics are not nearly as good, but they're still reasonably good. Merrill Kelly, though, looks like he's been figured out. He's going in the wrong direction. His stats away from Chase are really bad. I think this line's a little bit cheap, and I like Stroman's current form. Diamondbacks are a team that I think is regressing, as they probably played over their heads for 2 months. I think they're a sub-500 team. I like the Blue Jays here. I think this line's a little bit cheap.
Cleveland, they took 2 of 3 against Minnesota. They did lose last night 5-4. They're hosting the New York Yankees, who lost 2 of 3 against Toronto. Plus 104 for Cleveland. It's basically a pick'em game. 9 is the total. Dave?
Look, I mean, it's tough to find fault with anything Plesac's done in his first 2 starts. He's been impressive. Herman is going the other way. The Yankees right now, clearly not in good form. He's had 3 straight starts that would qualify as below average. I don't see a great deal of value, though, because it doesn't take long for the odds makers to catch up. And Yankees are only a small favorite here against the Indians, so I'm not getting the price I'd require to take the Indians, even though if you're asking and pick them, basically, I think the Indians will win, but it's not a play it back with money.
Bryan, Yankees have owned this team of late, won 8 of 10. What do you like in this game?
Yeah, slightly into the Yankees here. Don't know if I'll play it. 32-14 against right-handers this season. I'm an Indians fan. I watch the Indians play. They've got no offense whatsoever. Plesac, to be honest with you, I hadn't even heard of Plesac other than I believe it's his uncle is the ex-major leaguer. But coming into the season, I hadn't even heard of him, and he's pitched really well his first 2 starts. I think he's a little bit overrated at this point. Slightly in with Herman, but Dave's right. The analytics were saying that he was due for some regression, and it's happened the last couple starts. Going to Baltimore, that was a 51-game score. Not so bad because Baltimore at home's not a bad hitting team, and they're playing in a hitter's ballpark. But the last 2, have been somewhat concerning. But slight lean with the Yankees, probably won't play it.
Bryan, great matchup in the AL East. Boston hosting Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay just keeps winning on the run line. They just beat Detroit the last 2 games in a row on the run line, 6-1 and 4-0. And Boston is rolling. They're coming into this series having won 4 straight games. We got the home team at -125, the over and under at 10. Porcello on the mound. What do you like, Bry?
Not a big Porcello fan, but you take a look at Boston. They've struggled against lefties. They're 8-12, or excuse me, 8-10 on the season against lefties. That's been their problem, but they're not facing a lefty here. And Chirinos, and Chirinos is one of those guys that he's actually pitched pretty well. He's got his last 6 starts there, he's got pretty good game score, close to 60. So he's one of those guys that is pitching very well. And he's not one of those names that a lot of people pay attention to. So I always like to play Tampa when they're going up against the best teams in the division, which is your Bostons and your Yankees. You take a look at the last 3 years, Boston has beaten Tampa every season, but it was 11-8, 11-8, 3-2. So you're getting some pretty good value when you're playing Tampa here. I'm leaning that way. Don't know if I'll play it, but usually your Bostons and your Yankees, especially when they're playing at home, are just too high priced for me to back. Tampa's a team you can still find some value in.
Dave?
Yeah, I don't see the value here, unfortunately. It's 110. Otherwise, I'd be on Tampa. If you give me plus 120 or something like that, I'd be taking the Rays. Chirinos is actually out pitching Porcello. Porcello hasn't been great in his last 2 starts. Analytics, XFIP at home, 558. Yeesh. That's not very good. But the Rays are no longer a secret, and you just don't get good value with them now automatically, even when they're facing the big boys. So I like Tampa, but I don't like the price.
He's Dave Cokin. I'm the Prez. Bryan Leonard with us. You're watching First Pitch. Guys, make sure to check out Puck Time with Andrew McGinnis and Carmine Bianco. Could be the last one of the season. As well, Morning Joe and the Pro is up at our WagerTalk channel, at our YouTube channel, WagerTalk TV. Myself and Marco take apart the NBA game. Dave, Miami. 4 of last 5 they've won. And before that, they were on a nice big run. This team is playing a hell of a lot better right now. They're playing against Atlanta, and you've got them at home at plus anywhere from 155 to 170 with an over and under of 7.5. I gotta believe that 2 games lost in a row for Atlanta. I think Miami is a super live dog right now.
I really can't agree, mainly because of Soroka. This guy's he's a quality start every time out. So nothing wrong with the way Ureña's pitching for Miami. He's been good lately, but Soroka's the superior pitcher. Atlanta still has the superior lineup. I'm not going to lay that kind of a price, but in fact, if you're going on just pure value, I think I'd agree with you on Miami. But I don't think it's a game they'll win. So it's one of those games where, from a dollar standpoint, you probably say Miami. But from a reality standpoint, you just leave the game alone. I'm not going to lay 185 with Soroka to be sure. But I'm not going against this guy. There's just certain pitchers I will not go against, and he's one of them.
Brian, any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, this one is strange to me. I'm like you, Prez. Years ago, I would play strictly for value, and I would play a lot of ugly teams. And I wouldn't win them, but they'd lose by a run or 2, and it was a close game, that kind of thing. I want to bet against Soroka. I agree with Dave. He's a great pitcher and all. He's having a great season, but his advanced analytics are showing he's way overvalued at this point. He's just been tremendous all season with an ERA of 1.41. It should probably be closer to the 3 range. So there is some regression there. I couldn't understand why this line moved the way it did. I thought it was going to be about a 150 favorite. Opens 160. Now we're seeing 190. Usually the wise guys are looking to play the regression candidates. They didn't today. And the more I bet, and I've been doing this for 40 years, the more I start believing in the markets out there as opposed to my thoughts on it. If they agree, great. But this was telling me there's something here I'm missing because I'm not going to play Atlanta, but there's a lot of money out there laying into the regression should be going the other way. I'm going to pass this one.
See, and I think Soroka might be one of those guys, and there's a handful of these guys. The analytics are heavily value strikeouts. And pitch to soft contact guys get penalized in the analytics. Soroka he might be the ultimate pitch to soft contact guy among the young crew of major leaguers are up. Ground ball, ground ball, ground ball, ground ball. And doesn't really show in the analytics, but he's legit. So he's one of those pitchers where the metrics are really tricky on him.
Yeah, you'll find guys that for years have stumped the analytics community because they don't give up home runs and they don't strike guys out, and people are looking at that. But maybe you're onto that. But I still think at this point, well, with a 1.5 ERA, that's going to regress. So he's a good pitcher, but I'm not going to lay into that number.
Minnesota on the road playing Detroit.
No starting for Minnesota.
Right. Sorry?
We have no pitcher for Minnesota.
Skip that game. Colorado, New York Mets. The Mets are 2 games below 500. Colorado 3 games above 500. And Colorado's really been rolling right now. They did lose 2 of 3 against the Cubs. Before that, they won a lot of games in a row. They have gotten themselves right back in the thick of things, second in the NL West. The New York Mets are a huge favorite at minus 200 and change above. And the over and under is 7.5. And, here's my take, Brian, and I'll go to you first. Look, deGrom, great pitcher. Okay, we get it. Syndergaard, great pitcher. Okay, fine. I think any time you can get a plus 190 against the worst bullpen in all of baseball, you take it. I can't lay anywhere in this vicinity with the New York Mets. It's not like deGrom is going 9 innings. We already saw this idiot manager pull Syndergaard out, pitching a gem in the 7th. So we know we're getting 2 innings from that bullpen. I like the dog.
Not even close to being the worst bullpen in the majors. No. Washington Nationals are the worst, getting close to the worst of all time. The Mets, but I agree with you. This Mets team is. Every other day, I think about putting a future on the Mets to win the World Series because nobody's given them much of a chance, and they're in a division that they can win. But then they come out and they blow a game, as you mentioned, and it's just tough to put some money on them. Money's come in on deGrom here. I can't understand it. I'd play Colorado if I had it, but it's going against the market, and I don't like to go against the market.
Yeah, the market every now and then is wrong. Dave?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I think the money's actually more against Senzatella than it is on deGrom. Senzatella's a stiff. Okay, if Kyle Freeland solves his problems down in Albuquerque, Senzatella will probably be the guy optioned out, especially with the way the Lambert kid pitched yesterday. So Senzatella is their number 5 at this point. He's just not very good. And so if deGrom has an ordinary game, the Mets will probably win this. Not that I'm interested in playing it.
I do want to point out, last time Senzatella went on the road, his game score was 9.
That's not good.
That's not good. That's a bad performance.
To say the least. Texas, they've won 7 of their last 9 games. They're playing against Oakland, who's in a free fall. They've lost 6 of their last 8. Texas is a very short favorite at minus 112. There's even a 106 on the board. The over and under in this game is 10. It's Lynn versus Anderson. And Anderson has not pitched badly at all, Dave.
He's been all right.
Nor really has Lynn.
Well, Lynn's pitching really well. Very quietly, Lynn's having a heck of a season. In fact, actually, the last really bad start he had was a disaster at Oakland. earlier this season. So what's interesting here is if you look at the Rangers' offense, it's markedly recency is more important to me, and recency shows that they're starting to hit lefties. So they might be able to get something done against Brett Anderson. I think Lynn has a little redemption in mind here after that disaster that had Oakland. He's in very good form. He's gotten back almost to the level he was when he was a really good pitcher with the Cardinals, and then he broke down physically. But he's battled his way back. It's not raw stuff. I mean, he's not going to stun anybody throwing 98 miles an hour or anything like that. But he's become he's a guy who knows what he's doing on the mound. I think this is a pretty good spot for Texas, and the price is certainly not an obstacle.
Bryan, what do you think in this? I'm with Dave here completely. I think Texas is the play, and you're getting a very short number.
Yeah, I'm in agreement here. Texas is one of the games that I've been looking at for today. Brett Anderson has pitched well, but he's one of those guys that can easily get blown up. He hasn't the last few starts, but it's about time, and I never wish injuries on anybody for Brett Anderson to get hurt, isn't it? This is a guy, every time he starts pitching well, you start thinking, hey, this guy's going to really help my team. The guy gets hurt, and it's been a while, and, the way Oakland's been, it wouldn't surprise me if something happens. I don't wish it on anybody, but, Texas is the way I'd look in this game at this price.
My kid just texted me saying she is there. I don't even know where there is. That's how much I paid attention to where my kid was.
She's at Bet365. Trying to cash your illegal bet.
There you go. Houston won 6 of 7. This team is just it's a daunting task to beat them. They're playing Baltimore. Baltimore is basically around plus 300, plus 290. There's an 8 on the board. Culver's, I like the over in this game. Bryan?
I don't know how you go against Houston here, but I'm not going to lay that kind of price. It's about lined where I thought it would be.
Yeah.
You got the best pitcher in the major leagues pitching at home against Baltimore Orioles. I'm not a fan of Noah, but I can't lay that number. It's going to be a pass for me.
What about you, Ken? You won't go on the run line because they're a home team?
I'm not big on the run line, especially when it's at home. You're trying to match up what the team wants to do along with what you want to do. And they don't want to win by 2. They want to just win the game. So you find many times late in the game that they will manage the game just to win by 1. And that really hurts you when you're playing the run line.
Dave, what do you think about this game?
I think Houston will win, and I made the line 330, so that's what it is, basically.
Yeah.
Then let's move on. Pittsburgh against Milwaukee. Pittsburgh needs to go on a roll if they've got any shot at getting back into this thing, but that's unlikely. Milwaukee 7 games above 500, sitting second in the NL Central. They're, again, another massive favorite today at minus 280. The over and under is 2.5. Pittsburgh's coming in off of 2 wins in a row. And you've got Woodruff versus Davies on the mound. Bry?
Rookie Davis is not a rookie, but he's not a very good pitcher either. He's got his last 7 starts, he's got a 36-game score. 2017, 8.63 ERA. 2019, 5.87 ERA. That said, this Woodruff, Brandon Woodruff, has been really good. Although his last start out at Pittsburgh, he had a 21-game score. And usually, like before that, let me just run off some numbers before that. Against Washington, 69, Philadelphia, 70, Atlanta, 70, Philadelphia, 86. All outstanding starts. Last time out, he plays Pittsburgh, a 21. Now he plays Pittsburgh again. What do you expect out of him? I expect a really good game out of him. I'm leaning with the favorite here, but that line probably, not giving that out to clients. I may look at the under here because of that, because it would not surprise me if Milwaukee throws a shutout, 1-2 runs for Pittsburgh here, and with the total the way they have it, it might be a good shot to play the under here.
Yeah, I like that call, and especially the total is big. I mean, 9.5 for a National League game. You've got a hell of a cushion if you're thinking that it might be a 2-0, 2-1 game. Dave, what do you think?
Well, boy, I mean, if it's a 2-0 or 2-1 game, then Rookie Davis will have done something I'm not expecting him to do, because he is not good. If you go back to his starts with Cincinnati when he actually was a rookie, his average game score, I know Bryan likes to talk about these, so I actually did a little research on it. His average game score as a starter was 32. That's really bad. 50 is the median.
Yeah.
So he's not good. Woodruff's legit. I mean, he had a bad start last time out, but this guy's numbers are really strong. His analytics are good. And this game is a good example of why the more sophisticated betting market doesn't lay runs lines. Okay? Because you're going to look at this and say, well, that's a really high price, and they should win the game, so I'll go for the better odds and lay 1.5. It's just not a real good bet. Never has been. I know there's some teams that win with it, but it's still not a good bet. But the flip side of it is the minus, I think the early number on this game was 230-ish, 225, and that was cheap. That was actually cheap. The value was with the Brewers. It's not anymore because, as you mentioned, Prez, the line's gone up considerably, so now it's priced about right. But the right bet here, in terms of value early on, was actually the Brewers' money line, not runs line.
Bryan, for some of the listeners who don't know what you're talking about in regards to game score, want to explain it?
Yeah, game score. If you go to Baseball Reference, and Phil still does this for football, and he's the only one that I know that does it for football, which to me is the way to go when you're taking a look at all the stats. But basically, you're looking at the games, and as Dave pointed out, a 50-game score is about average. So when you're looking at, let's say, Atlanta game we talked about earlier. The last 7 games, Soroka's got a 66 game score. You go down his game scores, his worst start was last time out of 51 against Detroit. That was about average, slightly better than average. So you know the guy's very consistent. But you get other guys, like I was just talking about somebody a minute ago, they had a 9-game score and then he backs it up with a 55. Very inconsistent. I want guys that are going to be very consistent. Urena, going against Atlanta, he's been very consistent, anywhere from 41 to 64.
How is this game score tabulated?
If you want to learn about it, it's Bill James is the one who invented it, and there's been tweaks to it made. In fact, if you look at FanGraphs as opposed to Baseball Reference, they do their game scores a little bit differently now. They've added some things and tweaked it. And you can tweak it any way you want. I do my own game scores based on some things that I like to input. But it is a good way of determining consistency and a level of performance for starting pitchers. And like many of the things that we use as handicappers, it really came out of the mind of Bill James, who to me is the best statistical analyst in the history of the world. It's as simple as that.
Way ahead of everybody else.
Yep.
Chicago White Sox on the road playing Kansas City. White Sox are only 3 games below 500.
Weird game.
What?
I said this is a weird game.
Well, just go ahead and talk. I won't set it up.
How can Homer Bailey and the Royals be favored? This is one where I look at the line and I go, well, that just shouldn't be. The Royals shouldn't be the favorite over the White Sox in this game. There's nothing to suggest that they should be. Homer Bailey stinks. Nova's actually been reasonably decent lately. The White Sox are clearly a better baseball team than the Royals. I make the White Sox a favorite on my numbers. Not big. I made them 105. But why are the Royals favored here? And this is one where Bryan was talking about respecting the market. And it's kind of what I'm doing in this game by staying away from. I'm not going to go with the market because I'm not laying a price for Homer Bailey. But, I'm not the only one with a decent mind at this. And there's some other people out there, evidently, who see something in the Royals that I'm not seeing here. But they've made the Royals the favorite, and I'm going to respect that and stay out of the game.
Dave? Bryan, sorry.
No problem. White Sox 22-25 versus righties. The Royals 14-31. You take a look at the Royals at home; they're only 11-20. The White Sox got a better record on the road than the Royals do at home, 12-18. We talked about game scores a minute ago. This is why you've got guys pitching for these two teams. You've got Homer Bailey, his last 7, his game score is 43. Nova's last 7 is 45. So both of them have performed worse than league average. But when you take a look at Nova, his last 6 starts, he's got a 61, a 58, a 47, a 53, and a 53, and he had a clunker of a 6 against Toronto. So that's going to bring his grade down there. But when you take a look at the rest of his stats, he's been much better, as Dave pointed out, the last few starts. I'm with Dave here. I don't understand the move. I'm not a huge White Sox fan at all. But Kansas City has done nothing against righties. They've done nothing at home all year, and I prefer the White Sox starter. To me, catching the White Sox as an underdog here is definitely something I'm going to take a look at.
Bryan, this just in. Seattle lost a game.
It was a great game, though.
8-7 against Houston. I mean, they were able to hit Verlander. Pretty unbelievable.
Well, they didn't really hit Verlander. He was pretty good. The Houston bullpen had a very bad game, and they won anyway.
They're on the road. They're playing the Angels. The Angels are only 3 games below 500. The Angels are a minus 190 dog, a favorite. The over and under is 9. Both of these teams are just garbage right now. Seattle worse. I don't know what to do in this game. Dave?
Well, I know what to do, which is pass. The market loves Andrew Heaney in this matchup, and I don't disagree with him at all. He's looked good since coming off the injured list. This is going to be a Heaney thing, evidently, for his whole career. He can look really good in 4 innings and then blow up in 1 inning when he just can't find his spots. But the guy's a pretty good pitcher. Marco Gonzales is, again, with the game scores. I mean, his game scores are getting stinkier by the game. I know the Angels for the season don't have good numbers against lefties, but they have picked it up recently. And again, I put more into recency. But and Seattle's just an awful baseball team. Just an absolutely horrible baseball team. But 185, I mean, no, I'm not even considering laying that with the Angels. In fact, this falls into that category again where I think the value is actually on Seattle at such an inflated price. But I don't want to bet Seattle.
Yeah, to say the least. Bryan?
Yeah, I played this on the overnights. I played the under 9.5. Now it's down to 9. Still leaning that way. We talked about two teams facing lefties. Seattle on the season 5-14. The Angels 8-15. Haney's very similar to me to the gentleman we spoke about a few minutes ago, where when Haney pitches, he's good, but he's had such an injury. In his past, he gets hurt all the time. This is only his 3rd start of this season because he started the year injured. Good pitcher when he's healthy, but he just can't stay healthy. Marco Gonzales started the season very well when Seattle was playing really well early in the season. He was like the ace of the staff. Now the last 2 times he's been out, game scores of 22 and 5. And that 5 came against this Angels team. I talked earlier about when a pitcher gets hit really bad from that team, I look for him to adjust for the next start, do something totally different. I think we're going to see that tonight. I like the under in this game, even though I got a better number when I bet it at 9. I still like it.
2 more games to go. This is First Pitch. You can see us every Monday to Friday at WagerTalk.com, SportsMemo.com, and, of course, our YouTube channel, WagerTalk TV. Dave, San Diego hosting Washington. Washington 28-34 on the season, annihilating their customers, betting them on the money line at minus 15 units. San Diego finds themselves basically in the same position as Washington, both around minus 110. The over and under is 9. Where are you going in this game?
I'm going to stay out. Eric Fetty, former UNLV star, who overcame Tommy John surgery and is working closely with Max Scherzer and seems to be improving. He might be figuring things out. ERA is pretty good. The metrics, however, indicate that ERA is phony. I'm not sure what to make of him right now. Margevicius has been just a train wreck. There's a book on him now, and this happens sometimes with lefties the first time around the league. They fool guys, they're deceptive, but then they get figured out. And I don't see him as a major league pitcher. And on the game score scale, he's got 7 straight below average starts. That's not a guy you want to put money on. The problem is the bullpens here. I mean, I know the Padres actually blew a game earlier in the week, but they have a vastly superior bullpen to Washington. So if you like the Nationals, you got to go first 5. If you like the Padres, play the full game. I don't really like either, so I'll just stay out of it.
Bryan?
Yeah, I agree with Dave. The San Diego pitcher, when he came up, Dave and I follow minor league baseball very well. This was a guy that came out of nowhere, as far as I know. He wasn't one of their highly touted prospects, and he came out. And David mentioned this in the past, and I agree, especially for a left-handed pitcher. I like lefties coming into the league that nobody has seen before. First time through the league, I like to bet on those pitchers. And now that everybody's got to look at him, he's really struggled. They actually sent him down to the minors, and when he came back, he got blown out again. With a game score of 29 last time out against the Miami Marlins of all teams. So I don't like the pitcher for San Diego, and I don't like that bullpen for Washington. I'll be passing on this contest.
Kershaw's on the mound. Kershaw is on the mound. What else do we need to say?
Not much.
Remember when we started the season and I said there were other pitchers on this team that were better than Kershaw?
Yeah, you're wrong.
And you laughed at me? He may be the 3rd best pitcher, 4th best pitcher on this team, and I'm still sticking with it. The guy's a great pitcher, but they've got other guys in that rotation that are just as good with the Ryu and the Maeda and Buehler, and those guys don't cost you nearly as much as Kershaw does from a betting standpoint. Like the Dodgers here, can't play it. Don't want any part of Pomeranz. Game score 36 his last 7 starts, and that included a 71 against Toronto, your favorite team over there in Canada. It'd be the Dodgers or nothing for me, but I can't lay that number with the Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean, Dave, look, Kershaw is 9-0 on the mound this year. Not 9-0 himself. His team is 9-0. We talked about it going back to last year and the year before. I mean, the Dodgers just rarely lose. And now you got with him on the mound, and now you got them as a road team, maybe allowing us to look at the run line. I know you don't love that, but certainly you're not playing against Kershaw.
No, I think it's what is it, 17 straight starts now? It's either 16 or 17 the Dodgers have won going back to last season when he pitches. And you'd have to bribe me with a serious amount of money to even think about betting on Drew Pomeranz right now. So, no, I mean, it's 2-1. And it's more than that, actually. I priced it minus 205. It's actually going beyond that now. I'm not going to play it, but the Dodgers should win. This would be one, if you really want to play the Dodgers here, look to pair it up with somebody in a money line parlay.
By playing with the money line parlay, you're still betting the same numbers. You're just managing it with somebody else. Dave talked about the run line. I like the run line, but the total is 7.5, so you're not going to get many runs anyway. So you're expecting them to win by 2 or more in a game where they're only going to score 7.5 runs. That is a concern. I'd much rather do it when you're playing in Colorado, when you're going to put 12 runs up if you're going to play the money line, the run line.
Guys, the shootout bet is gone.
Yeah.
I got some action in on it though. I took that there will be a shootout at plus 850. I felt there was a little bit of value on that. Thanks for doing the show, boys. We'll speak next week.
I never know if you're serious about anything or not. That's the problem.
You know what, Bryan? It makes the show more interesting. Let you guys do the talking, and I'll do the joking. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you Monday for First Pitch. Take care.
Best of luck, everyone.